Welcome to Email After Hours by SenderScore, powered by Validity.
We're your hosts. My name is Guy Hansen.
And I'm Danielle Gallant, and this is Email After Hours. On this episode of Email After Hours, we're talking cookies. And of course, data too. As privacy concerns about third-party cookies permeate the marketing ecosystem, first-party and zero-party data are emerging as the new cornerstones of effective personalization. We'll explore how these changes are reshaping multi-channel strategies, enhancing customer experience, and, of course, driving results for email marketing.
That's right. And our guest today is Beate Linz, a leading authority in data-driven marketing and email strategy. Beate excels at turning data challenges into strategic advantages and optimizing email campaigns to deliver exceptional results. From navigating the complexities of a cookieless landscape to leveraging zero-party data for impactful email marketing, she's here to share her insights and innovative approaches. We're thrilled to dive into her expertise, uncover her top strategies, and learn how she's redefining the future of marketing and email engagement. Welcome to the show, Beate. It's so great to have you here with myself and Danielle today.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm very thrilled to be part of this amazing podcast series. Thank you so much for having me.
And I don't know if this icebreaker just always comes up when I'm hungry, but I'm going to start with our trusty icebreaker question first. Beate, if you could compare email marketing with any meal or dish, what would it be and why?
Well, this is a brilliant question. And I would say email is like a sweet potato. So I love sweet potato. I don't know if you do as well. Firstly, it is relatively easy to grow, but there are very specific steps to follow. So for example, it needs rather a warmer climate, or you need to grow it in certain places with the right fertilization. It is sweet and delicious in itself. So for example, you can make it in the oven, make a nice soup, but when you combine it with other vegetables or ingredients, sweet potato enhances the taste of the dish and brings out really the full flavor. And I'm thinking like a curry or like a nice vegetable stew, brownies with cacao mixed. And email is very similar, I think, because it can really create great fundamentals for marketing. It can work really well in itself. But as soon as you harmonize it across all the channels, harvesting all kinds of data, then it works the best. And that's what I think sweet potato does as well.
Oh, that's good. What about you, Danielle? What's your email meal?
It's such an elegant answer, especially compared to the burrito that I was going to say, where you just put a whole bunch of stuff in there and you wrap it up and it's its own little delivery system.
Let's dive in. You and I, we've had some great conversations over the years, various EU email events, and I'm really excited to bring some of that into our episode today. But before we jump into today's topic proper, let's talk about what's on your radar. I think this time of every new year, we're talking about key themes, new trends. What have you been focusing on recently, and how do you feel that these themes are going to be influencing our industry this year?
Yeah, that's indeed a great start, Guy. And I'm so happy that we have this conversation, and we had great conversations before as well. And what really keeps me involved and excited is data, because brands are increasingly in need of good, reliable data. And there are so many ways that they are actually needing it, because it needs to be securely kept. It needs to be kept and collected according to the privacy laws and subscriber expectations. But there needs to be also data that is interconnected and easy to access for good reporting and actionable insights based on what you can get out of the reporting, and then do actions based on those insights with personalized communication. So brands are really much in need of good and reliable data, and also immediate data. The speed of the data is so important, and it's getting more and more important, because you need to be able to do things straight away with that to communicate with your customers and with your users. So I see a lot of brands, and this is what I'm also working on a lot, that brands are reworking their foundations with the reliable data warehouses, implementing different kind of softwares and different systems that really complement their current tech stack or replacing their tech stack, or they are maybe hiring internal, or even if they don't have the option to do that, external data scientists or data teams to help with these shifts. And this is a huge need to be able to comply with what is happening in the privacy landscape, but also at the same time to be able to act on what is needed in the marketing industry. And the rise of the cookieless world is just making it even more interesting.
That's a perfect segue. Before we even get in, I think our topic today needs a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to ask you, what the heck are cookies anyway? And why should marketers care about them?
Yeah, so great question to set the foundations. So cookies are small text files which are stored on a user's device, and they play a very crucial role in digital marketing because cookies are the ones that allow businesses to show different kinds of ads and relevant ads to potential users or potential customers. They track the interactions, what these users are making on their websites or outside of the websites, their interests, and then they also check effectiveness of their content and so on. So it is really about storing and saving all those interactions and then those effectiveness.
And originally, Google, always making the headlines, Google was ready to retire third-party cookies by the end of last year of 2024. But of course, that did not happen. And it's worth noting that cookies are basically treated the same way as tracking pixels in the EU, or very similarly anyway. So their depreciation is still probably on the horizon. But how imminently do you think we'll have to say goodbye to third-party cookies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So firstly, I think we need to look at the browsers across the globe because Google obviously uses Chrome or has Chrome as the major and the largest browser with the biggest market share globally. But also at the same time, we already know that Firefox and Safari are the two other biggest browsers that are already disabled third-party cookies. So it's a done deal for Firefox and Safari already. But because Chrome really holds the biggest market share, this is when things started to stir up even more in the rise of the cookieless world and started to stir up the conversations within the marketing industry. So when we strictly think about from the browser's perspective, we can think that what does Google do? And Google is taking already steps to limit third-party cookie tracking because in January last year, so 2024, they began testing a new feature called tracking protection. They started doing this with 1% of Chrome users globally. And this means that they restrict website access to third-party cookies by default. And they test kind of into these third-party cookies away waters of how this actually works. So Google also said that it would introduce new privacy controls in Chrome that allow users to make choices about these cookie usage. And they already communicated about their safety check update in September last year that tackles some of this. So they are really working towards, we are going to switch this off, but how are we going to do this? Is this really going to work? Is this something that's actually going to be interesting for us and for our advertisers and for our users? Because at the end of the day, we want to be relevant and we want to be safe for our users. And that's why we say that we have this safety check.
Google's changed their stance several times already. What do you think's driving that uncertainty? You know, is it that there's almost this balance between privacy on the one side, but also cookies make these companies billions of dollars on the other? And is that what's making it tough to square the circle?
Yeah, well, I think in the end, I think Google looks at their users, as I said, so from privacy perspective, they want to be serving their users the best of the best. But also at the same time, the digital advertising industry has been pushing back like crazy since this news came out about eliminating the third-party cookies in Chrome. since it's already eliminated in Safari and Firefox as well, and it is going to really change the industry. It's going to hurt what they are saying, startups and emerging companies, but also well-established companies. So what they say, until there is no working alternative to third-party cookies, which Google really tried to do. And I must say, Google's privacy sandbox was like one attempt to actually go around this, but this is not something that they have actually established really well yet. And as I understand, there is not much trust in it either. So in the end, Google relies on advertising. So paid advertising, if the economy is down, Google will feel it. And if they will not have the paid advertising behind them, they will not be able to pay for their bills.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Now, bringing this a little closer to home, I mean, I think it's fair to say all three of us have a sort of lifelong love affair with email. And at the end of the day, cookies still play a pivotal role in the success of email marketing. Think of cart abandonment or browser abandonment programs, for example. So how can marketers run those email programs successfully without cookies? Are there strategies they can implement now that would be beneficial regardless of how the cookie landscape evolves?
Yes, exactly. And I love that you bring this up because we, and personally myself, advocate the email marketing industry because it bridges this issue. It bridges the issue of cookie collection, third-party cookie collection, because with emails, you can collect zero and first-party data so much easier. So let me explain a little bit what is the difference here. So zero-party data is something that is being captured because a user deliberately provides that. So somebody fills in like an email sign-up form with their email address. Then you have first-party data, which is kind of indirect, but it's still from the interaction, from the email. So it's a lot more, or the website that they are on. So it's a lot more easier to get. But third-party data is really about someone going to a website, accepting the cookies for third parties for marketing, and be able to be followed across various websites and then see personalized ads from that website where you accepted that cookie. So with email, you have the option, you capture the email address, you capture that consent with that email address that this person can be contacted, is what is going to change completely your marketing strategy, because you will be able to own that contact and not necessarily have to pay a lot of money to Google or to, if we talk about also social media, like for example, Meta and others, to be able to do retargeting and to be able to do remarketing strategies for that contact. You will own that contact and be able to communicate to them because they asked for it, they signed up.
I love it. Yay, email.
The next thing we really wanted to talk about it's data replacements, right? So what do we use instead of cookies or as a supplement for cookies? And you've already done a great job of explaining the difference between first and third party data. And honestly, I feel like a lot of my clients are at the point where when I start speaking to them about, let's revamp your preference center for zero party data, everybody goes, okay,
Yeah.
we're back
Well,
here.
there you go.
She's back on the lecture about first party or zero party data. But I think the question is, how should marketers be collecting first party data or zero party data in a way that both maintains trust and actually provides value and isn't just asking for the sake of asking?
Yeah, well, there are several ways to do this. I think the very important part is whenever you capture that email address and whenever you capture any zero party data, it's that value exchange. What are you going to give in return to your users, to your opt-ins that they are going to get from you? So may it be certain incentives for just opting in. That could be, I don't know, I'm making this up, a 10 euro off on your first order. That could be a hook. Then it's going to be, as a marketer, your job to keep growing the zero and first party data within your database with other value exchange, with other important benefits that you can provide to your subscriber. You can have quizzes and different kinds of games and different kinds of programs where you actually provide a benefit to the user, or at least a fun time for the user, or maybe even learn something about themselves for the user in return for getting that email sign up. For example, ASICS does this quiz of what kind of runner are you? And then they capture the data of if you are a pronator or if you run short distances or long distances, but also at the same time capturing the data and also capturing that interest that you are a pronator. So most probably you will need shoes that are for a pronator is extremely valuable, not just for the user, because at the end of the quiz, they will be like, okay, so I am this kind of runner. By the way, these are the shoes that I need. By the way, this is how I need to run. So it has a lot of opportunities for service. So they can tell me how to not injure myself during my run. But also at the same time, then the brand can decide how are they going to use this data with the right follow-ups and communications in the future. So gamification and experiences. And then in the end, progressive profiling. I love that word, which is asking across the entire journey of the subscriber of what else can you tell me? You didn't give me your birthday yet? Don't worry, because I will ask you again because you will get something in return.
I've done those quizzes, right? Like
Yeah.
I've done them, even if it's on a website or whether it's through email. But it also reminds me of just when you talk about the value exchange, it reminds me of loyalty
Yes.
programs. And Guy and I have been talking for a long time about how the structure of a loyalty program kind of needs to be integrated into the email program as a whole, regardless of whether that subscriber has actually opted into something or not for that value exchange. So I wonder, how do you see zero or first party data playing a role in kind of aligning customer experiences across those various touch points like email, social media, website interactions?
I think this is the shift that is really crucial within 2025, that companies who haven't looked into this yet are already investing or looking into investing into restructuring their data platforms and how that data is going to then power the entire ecosystem. So, for example, CDPs, customer data platforms, are expanding very heavily, which connect all the dots between the website, within email, within app and mobile, and all performance marketing paid media channels. And then customer data platform CDPs allow the data to flow easily and also help with this real-time communication. But that's on the foundation level. And this is a really crucial part of understanding data and how the connections between the different data flows that are coming in and the CDPs are actually getting all that information, getting all that data and centralizing all of that and then pushing it out to the different channels is extremely valuable. And more companies are doing that.
Yeah, it needs to be seamless, consistent, and personalized.
Exactly.
I think we're probably all in agreement that brands that do a great job when it comes to zero-party data strategies, they've probably got some best practices in place, but it's only going to be successful if you've got a great relationship in place with your customers as well. And one of our previous guests, Jay Schwedelson, he shared a great example with us. I'll read it to you. It went, "Dear Amazon, I bought a toilet seat because I needed one. Necessity, not desire. I do not collect them. I am not a toilet seat addict. No matter how temptingly you email me, I'm not going to think, oh, go on then, just one more toilet seat. I'll treat myself."
Definitely.
And it's really funny, but it's also that many a truth is spoken in jest. And so what do you think are the hallmarks of an effective zero-party data strategy so we don't end up offering our customers 40 toilet seats?
I love that example because, oh God. And we can also come up with other ones that are not as funny, but more sad. But yeah, this is definitely one a very good one. But I think some brands are doing it really well. And I think we have been thinking about Sephora quite a lot, and they are doing an amazing job in capturing that data across the board and then serving different kinds of content, really engaging content. And they are extremely successful. I've seen another brand that makes me really excited. And actually, I learned about this recently and I didn't know too much about them. It's called Charlotte Tilbury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know them well.
They are absolutely amazing. So I was just going through their experience a few weeks ago, and they have even a gamification experience of selecting fragrance for you. So that's, I think, really out of the ordinary. And I usually use the exact same perfume always. And I already think like, oh, I'm so boring because I just smell always the same. It's so nice to know like what would fit me. And there you go. They figured it out.
That's awesome. I can't wait to go and try it. Right after this episode, I'm going to go and see which of their fragrances most suits me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were so emphatic. You were like, of course I know them. And I was like, how does Guy know about Charlotte Tilbury?
I know, right? Yeah.
I learned something new to love about Guy Hansen. If you could summarize the biggest missed opportunity for marketers when it comes to collecting customer data, how would you sum it up in one sentence?
Oh, it's a really good one. So invest in the right data infrastructure, maybe a CDP or your data warehouse connections and so on, and a data-driven team today, because they are the ones who are going to know how to use that. While you're getting your zero and first party data collection and usage game up to speed, or, enhance it even for the future and for other channels as well. Maybe it was not entirely in one sentence.
We got to put a couple commas in there and make it one sentence. That's what
No, that's fantastic. I think that's a great point for us to finish up on. Gerdalins, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great conversation. I think we've had a few laughs. We've also shared so much good information and insights for our listeners. Thank you again.
Thank you so much as well.
And Guy and I are always seeking fellow email nerds and email geeks to join us on future episodes of the podcast. So if anyone is listening and you'd like to come on join us in an upcoming episode, just drop us a comment or ping us on LinkedIn or fill out the guest form that's linked in the show notes. We'd love to get you in the hot seat in the weeks to come. Goodbye.
Be sure to tune in next time and hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And don't forget to visit senderscore.com for loads more great resources to help you become a stronger sender.
To all you sleepless senders out there, thank you for joining us after hours and see you next time.